Hey, good morning, everybody. Understanding we have GDP numbers dropping right now, so we're going to see how the market reacts to those GDP numbers. But first, I want to talk about something that's going to help you improve your trading. Okay, two possible scenarios today. SPY, we gapped up yesterday morning's markets gapped up. What happened? They sold the spike within the first 5 or 10 minutes, and we faded down the entire day. So that's one possible scenario that we repeat history of yesterday. Me, remember, going into yesterday, I was a little bullish. Earnings are beating. So let's understand why earnings are beating. Earnings year over year are down 20%. What? Down 20%? Then how are earnings beating? Because the earnings estimates for these companies are down, let's say 26%. So when the earnings estimates are coming in and they're beating on an average of 6%, the stocks are going higher. With that said, I'm not sure about GDP numbers, but the SPY just got hit a little.
Less than the 245,000 in the rearview mirror. 230,000 is the lightest since the last week in March, but it has been elevated since the benchmark revisions of several weeks ago. Continuing claims, 1,858,000, a smidge less than expected, a smidge less than the rearview mirror, which is 1,865,000, which now gets changed to 1,861,000. And that number and the current number are basically both in a zone that we haven't seen since November of 2021. GDP, first look at first quarter, 1.1, a miss. You're expecting a number closer to 2%. 1.1 is sequentially that follows 2.6. 1.1 is the lightest since it was negative in the second quarter of 22. If you look at the consumption number, 3.7, that's a whopper of a number no matter how you slice it. 3.7 is the best going back to the second quarter of 21 when it was 12.1. And if we look at the GDP price index, 4%, 4%. Here is the rub. The fly in the ointment. We're expecting 3.7. In the rearview mirror, it was 3.9. In this series, it is bumpy because we want to continually move lower. This moves out of that sequence. And remember, the high water mark was the second quarter of 22 at 9%. That was the highest since 81. So granted, when you look at 4% versus 9%, it's less than half, but sequentially, it breaks the pattern of lower. Personal consumption expenditure quarter over quarter, 4.9, similar. 4.4 in the rearview mirror, expecting 4.7. 4.9 is actually the highest going back to the high, which was 5.6. 5.6 was the first quarter of 22. It moved out of sequence because the high was 6% a year before that in second quarter of 21. So we see that the pattern of inflation moving down every month was broken already in the PCEQ over.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Steve Santelli. With that said, understand what reaction is the Fed going to have? Why are all these important data, information drops, why are they so important to the market? Because they determine what the Fed's going to do with interest rates. Why is that important? Because that determines how much money banks are willing to loan out at what risk. And that's how you support smaller business. And we all know small business is what really supports our country. Yes, big business is what we trade in the market, but the smaller businesses are what keeps us out of recession. With that said, what's going to happen today? Well, yesterday, I thought we were going to range trade on the SPY between 406 and 408. So what did I do? Let me just show you what I did yesterday, because we'll talk about positions that I share on Discord. And Romeo is doing live trading today. So let me just share my trades from yesterday. That way you get the mentality, because I'm going to talk about strategy, putting together a strategy, executing your strategy, securing profit, and how to secure profit, because I want you guys to make money, obviously. So what am I going to do? Okay, so Discord yesterday. These were the Netflix puts that were $30. They went up to $110. That was the previous day. Okay, so what happened yesterday? I was looking to add a Costco call to my watch list. Okay, I don't buy them right away. It was 10:15 a.m. I was letting things settle. It was $1.96 each. I bought one at $175. I was going to put another bid at $150. However, Love, another member of the platform, told me Costco is going to go down. Rather than use a day trade on a small account, I said, okay, let me hold it. I won't buy any. At the same time, I was holding a Costco put in another one of my accounts that I sold for 90% profit, $435. So I was okay to take a temporary loss of $30, $40, $50. Now, apparently, it's closer to $70 because I made $435 another one. Amex, I got into a 155, call it $2. I just added one. And then I was looking at the SPY, 405.72. I was looking at the 407.50 strikes. Expiration tomorrow, meaning today. But no, it actually expires on Friday. I bought one at $1.60. Why is that a good trade? Well, it wasn't a good trade yet. The SPY was up. American Express was down. Costco was down. Oh, my Carvana, my $7 option popped $7.75, plus you get the 2 extra days. So I took profit there. Then I was looking for the SPY call. I got out at 220. I was in at 160, right? So that's what, just under 40%. I said I'm deciding on SPY calls. I thought we were going to trade my strategy, since we're talking about strategy. My strategy yesterday was to range trade 406 on the downside, 408 on the upside, and I'll show you guys where I came up with that scenario from. But when we dropped to the 404, that position was hurting. But again, I said to myself, some stocks are going up. They're beating earnings. I don't think the market's going to throw up on itself. If that is true, we will range trade. We will bounce higher. It just happens that we're bouncing up a little pre-market. We'll see where we open at and what I'll decide to do. I'll get to that a little later. So it went down to 178, 169. I bought a third contract, right? Now $1.60. I was like, holy shit, maybe I'm on the wrong thing. I'm off to pick up my girls at school. I'm in for $681. So I know, worst case scenario, the market tanks yesterday. My options expire on Friday. My $681 might be worth $300, $400. So that was my worst case scenario playing out. I added another American Express at 198. Told everybody I was done. Then I saw it drop under 160. So I said, okay, I'll add another one at 159. Guess what? I got home from picking up my girls. It was down to $1.02. I added 6 more contracts at $1.02, taking my average to 132 per contract. Okay, $1.02. Where did it go after that? Went to 99 cents, went down as low as $83 per contract. Right, I'm in at $132. It's down at $83 a contract. That's about $50. I'm in for 11 contracts, $550. I went from being up on the trading day, $350, $400 to start the morning. Now I'm down $550. That's a reversal of $1,000. So I'm like, okay, you idiot, you over traded again. Yes, over trading is a major problem that I am guilty of. However, my strategy was that we could potentially gap up. We could have some decent earnings. You're seeing Meta popping. So what am I looking at pre-market to decide whether we're going to go up or down today? First of all, I'm looking at Target, right? Target's up 0.66%. The SPY is still up 0.5%. Yeah, of course. American Express, 0.28, because I'm holding those contracts. Costco, holding one of those. Then I look at earnings. TDOC, it's surprised to the upside. So we'll see. I've got all these companies that surprise to the upside that Kathy owns, TDOC being one of them. So I really want to know if they're going to sell the spike on TDOC. If they do, the market will go down. Same with eBay. eBay is up 1.5%. It was up as much as 3%. Roku is now down 1%. It was up to at least $60. Now it's at $56. See how that transpires. Meta up 12% pre-market. That will probably hold. You'll probably see Meta trading between 10 and maybe even 15% to the higher side. So yeah, I think if Meta pulls back, it is a little run. Microsoft was interesting. It's doing some tricky shit pre-market. Again, it went from positive to negative, positive. So I'm watching Microsoft, Google, Meta, the Qs, right? So let me tell you what else I'm going to do. Right. So that's the strategy. Okay. So what am I going to do with my options in the calls and the SPY? Well, I'm either thinking SPY. Okay. If it's bull case scenario, we're going to dip it open and then rip. If that's the case, I want to hold on to my 11 options. Remember, they're the 407.50s. We're probably around 406 and change pre-market. Where are we pre-market? 0.52%, 406.50 pre-market. I mean, this is what you see after the jobs number and GDP. We took the market. Sorry, let me slow down. After GDP, after the jobs numbers, understand the psychology of the market. So the market is looking to follow through on the last 2 days. Remember, we had fading and then we had gap higher yesterday morning and the market faded. So the consensus is, well, shit, history repeats itself. We'll likely start higher and will fade throughout the day. That's everybody's psychology. If you're thinking that, bam, I just nailed it on the head. with that said, just because everybody has that thought process doesn't mean it's going to turn out like that. Remember, I'm a contrarian. I tend to think the opposite of what most people are thinking. So, with that said, what am I looking to happen? Well, again, I thought, and this is a great time to pull it up. Let's just remove that. No, let's remove it. There we go. Remove it. Stop sharing it. Let's present. We'll bring up the SPY so I can show you guys the SPY. Okay. Let me make sure this is on. Add it to the stream. There we go. Okay, great. So we got the SPY up here. And what I was telling you is I got the 5-minute chart. Oh, I just moved to the 4-hour chart. All right, 5-minute chart. Perfect. 5-minute chart. We're seeing right here. I saw 405.62, 405.50, 405.40, and we were trading right up to about 408, which is right here. If I go back to the 3-minute, you can see that as well. Trading right in between that 406 range right here where we dropped off yesterday and 408. So that's where I think we're going to be trading today. Again, the range that I'll be looking for, if I want to get into puts, I need for us to fall under 406. If I need to get into puts harder, I need for us to fall under that 405 level. Okay. If we fall under 406, I think we're going to 405. If we fall under 405, then I think we're going to a lower low than yesterday. Okay. That's one strategy. The reverse strategy is, okay, I think we're going to have support right at that 406 level. So the fact that we're gapping up from 404, if the market drops it open and finds support right at 406, 405.80, something like that, then I will get bullish. Again, I'm not going into today's strategy or today's session with a specific strategy that I am a bull or I am a bear today, and this is how the market's going to play out. Now, I've seen some other people like Hindenburg on Twitter that says we still have a gap to fill on the downside. I've seen other people that say we're going higher. I don't care what other people say. I like to listen to what other people say, but I trade for my own account. So let's talk about accountability. When you listen to me, please take it with a grain of salt. Everything I'm saying is my opinion. It's how I'm planning on trading today. However, your strategies can differ. So you say, I disagree with this guy. Here's what I'm thinking is going to play out today. And then you use a little mix of both to really follow through. But again, let's see how that plays out. Okay, so I showed you guys that. Let's see what we got going on this morning. Questions and comments. Hey, good morning, Matt. Thanks for all you do. You share your good and bad experience, and that's been more than helpful. Yeah, I mean, all these people. So that's a great comment. First off, all these people that share on Twitter, and then they'll go dead silent for 3 days. They're like, hey, my account, 3,000 to 9,000. Then they're quiet for 3 days. Then they're talking about something else completely different. That's because that 9,000 probably blew up and they're done talking about it and they'd like to speak about something else. So not everybody has a winning day after day. Yesterday, my strategy, damn early to get into those calls. But again, I'm expecting most of these companies to beat earnings because earnings estimate have been lowered. Earnings year over year are down 20%. Okay, with that said, good morning. Hey, if you like this, please thumbs up. If you give me a thumbs up, guess what? I'll come back tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to talk about Lottery Friday because there are some stocks. All right, another lesson. There are some stocks I'm looking at that I think are keen plays for Lottery Friday. With that said, when I look at my watch list, I got too many damn stocks on my watch list. So number one, if you have more than 20 stocks on your watch list, then you probably need to remove a whole bunch of stocks. Me, I'm probably at 45. Why is that important? Let's remember my lesson that I taught, where if you can follow one, even two stocks or ETFs, and you know them like family, meaning you understand the movement, you understand the volume, you understand the ranges of the day. For example, Win Casino, when it's a volatile day, it'll move 4.5 points higher or lower. How does that help you? Because when you find the bottom on Win Casino, you can do, okay, 4.5 points higher. It has the potential to go to whatever it is, 109. That's how you use these tips, tools, lessons, I guess. So again, lately, I've been following too many damn stocks. I need to narrow my watch list. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. We can narrow it with everybody. Again, looking at the market, up 0.5%. We'll give you an estimate or a guess estimate or prediction how the market's going to wrap up before we get off today. Again, I am bullish American Express. Let's get into my watch list. Okay, so what do I have on there? What don't I need on there? Well, AT&T. I'm never trading AT&T again. After earnings, I made a plan. AT&T. It was $17 and change. I bought some calls. It went up past 18 the next morning. I sold them. I took profit. What else on my list? Goldman Sachs. Yes, I got involved with them, but I don't care about Goldman Sachs anymore, so they're off my list. Win Casino. I love Win Casino. That's all I traded back in 2020. However, they are now off my list because I don't make trades. Las Vegas Sands, off my list. United Airlines, I'll keep them. Bank of America, yes, I like to watch banks, but they don't deserve to be on my list, right? So just trying to thin the herd. Citigroup, I'm not too into banks. I can just watch the LXF, which is the banking index. UNH, United Health Group, right? Big healthcare play. I've never once traded that. So they're off my watch list. Why are they even here? Delete. Lucid, I know why they're on my watch list, right? Rumors about Saudi, good activity yesterday. They spiked up 7% in a bad market. But to be honest, I'm not going to chase Lucid to the higher side. What if it goes to 9? I really don't care. I don't trade Lucid, so it should be off my watch list. Now, another one, D-Dog, right? D-Dog was up 10% yesterday. D-Dog moved off Microsoft's earnings, the whole cloud thing, right? So net NET, D-Dog. Now, D-Dog was great at $63. Now that it's back at $71 or $70, not so great. $63, great. $73, not great. So that is on my watch list. I'll keep that on. Exxon, on holdings. Yeah, I haven't followed ON. I get there's been movement there, right? $26 to $33 shouldn't be on my watch list. Snapchat on my watch list. Pinterest on my watch list. Right under Meta. Why? Because they pull on the same marketing strings. Okay, so as Meta will continue to go up, there will be demand in Meta. Snapchat and Pinterest go to the top of my watch list because I'm pretty sure there's going to be demand. So let's say the market sells off today. What am I going to look? I'm looking at Snapchat and I'm looking at Meta and I'm not Meta and Pinterest from the past. Why not Meta? Because I can't afford Meta. Let me tell you, the $230 calls going into close yesterday were like $1.09, right? $109 per contract going into close. Meta was trading at what? $209. So you had to anticipate over a $21 move to the upside. So not only did you have to be right, but you had to be very right to the upside. I've got Block in here, but I haven't traded Block in a long time. If I trade a crypto, PayPal kind of thing, I'll trade coins. So PayPal shouldn't be there either. Upstart, I'll keep. FedEx, I don't want to trade ever. Get rid of that. Pinterest up 3% this morning. Baidu, I've traded Baidu, but now it broke to a new low. It broke to 117. The 130 range for Baidu used to be pretty good. So obviously, I don't know that stock like family. But if you look, I mentioned this about Alibaba. If you look at Baidu, right, what do you see? A whole shitload of yellow, right? 5, about 6, about maybe 16 out of the last 20 days down, right? That's 80% of the time, 4 out of every 5 days, 16 out of 20 days down. You'll see the same for most Chinese companies. Now, here's the catch. If China doesn't go to war with Taiwan, if China goes to war with Taiwan, I'm assuming there'll be other things that are put in place, embargoes, things of that nature. It would be really bad for Chinese companies on the U.S. market. However, let's assume that doesn't happen for at least a year. Baidu will be interesting when it turns around. Same with Alibaba. Now, if you look at Baidu, the last 2 days, outflow, but it didn't drop all that much. In fact, yesterday, it went up a little. So then I'll go and I'll look at Baidu, which was having a good movement yesterday. Where was that? Maybe I got rid of Baidu by accident too. I thought I had it. I did want to show that to everybody, but I thought it was down there. Okay, but let me get rid of PayPal. I've never done a play with PayPal. Shopify, never did one with Shopify. PDD, now there's always demand in PDD. So whereas Baidu looked like crap, when I look at PDD, what do I see? I see more inflow, more people paying the ask for their stock. That's what inflow means. It means you're paying the ask when you're buying a share. If you're selling a share of Baidu and I'm selling it at the bid, okay, that's outflow. I'm selling it for what you're asking. I'm not demanding a price. So understand what inflow and outflow is. It's whether you're paying the ask or whether someone's selling at the bid. Okay, so hopefully that answers a couple questions. Comcast beat on earnings, communications sector, a good play right now. Oh, I wouldn't want to get involved. I wouldn't want to be on Comcast. I wouldn't want to be in Warner Brothers Discovery. If you want to be in that sector of communications, you want to look for best in class. So your best in class in that area is probably going to be a Netflix. Your Roku second. We saw them push Roku up to $60 pre-market after earnings, and now it's back at $56. It might even be down this morning. So again, I would be following Netflix. So if you see Netflix spike, then you might want to look at the other cheaper players. Yeah, that's a good strategy as well. But again, you should have them all grouped together on the same watch list. Oh, interesting. See, I like you, Overstand Reality, because you're looking to get into puts in NVIDIA and Microsoft with time for next week. Do you think Microsoft can keep up those gains? Okay, so this is a great example of using the psychology of the market, okay? Let's start with NVIDIA. NVIDIA is number one in the chip sector, okay? We all know that. We all agree on that. A far back number two is AMD, right? NVIDIA has massive lead on that. What do we see also? Microsoft, right? Top in class, first in class. Microsoft's forward PE. Let me just see if I can find Microsoft's forward PE. It is only 32.84, which does appear high, but understand, comparatively speaking, I've heard Microsoft can push higher. When the market, if the market struggles and goes down, we see the SPY go under 400. And yes, your suggestions, your ideas are great. However, if the market's going to continue to fade higher on these earnings beats, even though earnings estimates came down, earnings beats. So you're seeing Microsoft, Google, Apple's going to come out with earnings. Meta just shocked to the upside. If the market goes higher, NVIDIA is going to continue to go higher because it's a mainstay. It's owned by a lot of institutions, corporations, holding companies. It's the number one, holding for the. So if I'm taking puts, I want to play puts. If I was going to play puts on like a NVIDIA, I would look for the weakest component of the chip sector. I would look at Micron. I'd look at XTX. I would look in another direction, maybe Taiwan Semiconductor, thinking that China could do something to, I don't know, hurt Taiwan in the interim, something to that extent. I wouldn't necessarily be looking at NVIDIA. In fact, NVIDIA, the market's up 0.62%. I bet NVIDIA is up over 1% pre-market. Probably 1.5%. Let's see. 1%, 1.5%, 1.29%. Okay, so you make guessed estimates based on your prediction. So based that the SPY was up 0.62 and NVIDIA is a leader, I just doubled that basically. So 6.2, double it, 1.24, it's up 1.28. So my estimates and my predictions are pretty accurate. When I'm looking at the 5-day of NVIDIA, it's held up pretty damn well. When I look at the 1 month of NVIDIA, again, last 2 days have been outflow. The stock is on its way back up. So what happens on an inflow day? That's a good answer. The stock really pops. So yeah, if I'm going to short NVIDIA, I want it to get back to that 280 range, to the top of those ranges. Even that middle one right there is what? 276. So we're at 273. So I mean, you'd be taking a risk that the market could continue strong. Friday, we could bounce. I mean, we've been trading in between 407 and 415 for 13 straight days. Then yesterday, we finally breached 407 and we traded down to 404. So your bear case scenario is like, okay, well, that's just a sign of things to come. We're going to trade down. And if we trade down, 400 is going to be in the range and we'll probably bounce off 400 strong psychological level. So you're a bear. You say, okay, we've already topped out. We're going to 400 over the next 2 days. Possibility. That's your bear case scenario. Your bull case scenario, remember, I'm a bear, but I'm holding bullish positions right now. Your bull case scenario is, well, shit, we're going to trade back up to 408, and that might be a rejection point because that was rejecting for 2 straight days. So the fact that we're at 406.89, I'll get out of my calls, my American Express calls, my SPY calls. I'll get out this morning just under 408. Now, what will probably happen? Anytime I sell a bullish position and I sell it, let's say we hit that 408, and I'm like, we'll probably reject. We'll probably spring right past it. So your bull case scenario is pre-market gapping up. Earnings have been good. They've been beating. Forecasting's pretty decent. We're going to go from on the downside. We'll show support right under 406 at 405.50, which would make the upside probably right under 410, 409.50. I would have to look at a dark pool level. So what I'm going to do is I'll look at a dark pool level on what? Discord, right? And I mentioned this to everybody else. I don't care if you're trading a $50 account, a $100 account, a $500 account, $10,000 account, whatever it is. You need something else to help you trade. Meaning, you need a community. You need to be able to look at, flows and algos and understand how that works. Here's the biggest Amazon flows. What are they? They're all freaking puts. Here it came in at 3:14 p.m., 12 p.m. Blah, 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 blah. They're all pretty early morning yesterday. So I haven't been on this channel since yesterday morning with this one, but you can see everything you can do. So what was I going to do? Look at dark pool levels. Oh, look, what a surprise. People are actually looking at dark pool levels of the Q to see where support is. Oh, what a shock. People are actually looking at dark pool levels of the SPY to see where support is. So that's what we'll share. Let me just see if I can add it to the stream. Boom, there it is. Let me make it nice and big. Boom, there you go. Okay, so dark pool levels. What would I look at for the SPY? Well, I'll start at the bottom. So 404.42, small level. 405.64, small level. Okay, 406.86, small level. 408.08. Well, shit, that's where we rejected twice in a row. So dark pool levels are pretty shallow and small under here, which means if volume remains light, you might see some big movements. All of a sudden, we'll be at 408, and you'll see the market drop from 408 to 406.40. Okay, then it'll go down a little more. We'll be at 405.70, and then you'll see a spike up of a whole $1.50, and we'll be at 407.20 again. So I'm expecting some range trading today. I'm expecting some big movements, some light volume. Okay, so when you're trading today, if you perhaps call the bottom, you see the market reversing, you're like, it's going to go up. Get into a position, get out, secure your 27%, secure your 33% if your entries are good. If your entries are shit and you catch it as it's going up and it's halfway up to where you think it's going to go because you have a complete strategy, then secure your profit at 12%, at 14%. Don't let a trade turn red. For me, it's tough because every trade I get into at the beginning turns red. Caterpillar beat and went down. There's no way I'd be playing Caterpillar bullish or bearish this morning. If you wanted to get any Caterpillar calls or puts, I was just looking back and checking back in Caterpillar, trading without emotion, and waiting till 2 p.m. At 2 p.m., look at Caterpillar, and you could be like, okay, well, it beat earnings, but they sold off. They sold off because we're heading to recession. No one's calling it out, but we're in recession. We're heading back to recession. Let's just see where Caterpillar is this morning. I'll look at the chart for you since you mentioned it. Bum, bum. Okay, what do I see? I see 6 out of 7 days, outflow, outflow, outflow. So where would I look to get into Caterpillar? Maybe back at the $210 level, maybe back in the $212 level. We're at $217 right now. It's doing some crazy shit this morning. Okay, that's your pre-market on earnings. So what would I like to do? I would like it to settle. Lord knows you paid too much for calls and you probably paid too much for puts because of the IV. All right, I gave my Meta example as well. Those Meta $230 calls were $1.09 going to close yesterday. Yes, Meta's at 233, so they're going to be up 300%. But understand, you were so far out of the freaking money because IVs were ridiculous. Okay, there you go. You bought something with July expiration. That's fine. That's fine. I get that. Because if I look at Caterpillar, and assuming we're not going through this massive recession, but you got to go back 3 months in Caterpillar. Again, the chart looks like shit right now. It looks like we can go back down on Caterpillar. But if we were going to turn around, I would say maybe a good exit would be 233, 234. If we get a bump from there, 240, you could be looking for. I don't know what strike price you used, but that's what I'd be looking for Caterpillar. But I wouldn't be in calls yet on Caterpillar. Thoughts on Tesla? Ooh, Tesla. I mean, somebody was thinking about calls on Tesla yesterday, and I was like, "What? You're crazy, dude. Tesla doesn't have demand right now. All car companies' gross margin, profit margin are going down, and that's what Tesla's problem was. Their profit margin per car was going down substantially. If their margins were high, then even with their earnings report the way it was, the stock would have been up. People were worried about that because over time, profit margins dissipate even more. You'd be surprised. Some of these companies make under $100, make like $40, $50. You buy like a Kia or something like that. The car company's making like $50 on it. Okay, ATVI dropped with the block of the Microsoft deal. Do I see the upside? Remember Activision when it was $74? I said you could ride Activision all the way up to $79, but that's where I believe the valuation stopped. I know Activision, when the Microsoft deal got canceled, it went back to $77 or called off by the EU, 77. I wouldn't even play Activision. Somebody say, well, Activision is good acquiring, somebody else could acquire Activision. Microsoft was perfect to acquire Activision. You always want to trade best in class. And the same is true for options. when you're trading options, and I got caught in this, my Goldman Sachs options, remember those $50 options? They went up to $100. I sold somewhere in between. Was not a great trade for me because I got faked out on Goldman. I bought some shares as well. But the point is, the bid and the ask, when there's no real volume on your option, you're paying too much. Meanwhile, you're paying the ask or close to the ask. And when you sell, you're selling it close to the bid. And if you're wrong about the option, not only are you losing 8% to start the trade, but let's say you're wrong by 28%. Now you're 36, 37% down. So when I say choose something with a lot of volatility, choose AMD, choose NVIDIA, Microsoft. I can't afford Microsoft, you might say to me. Here's a great way to afford Microsoft, right? Let's go out till June and let's pick the $350 calls. Do I think Microsoft's going to 350? No, I do not. But I'm thinking of a cheap ticker. If I was bullish Microsoft, I would say, and I see what you mean when I'm looking at the chart on Microsoft. I mean, it's spiking pretty damn hard. So I get the puts. It's just hard to buy puts when something keeps going up. You got to wait for rejection. You got to wait to see Microsoft sell. But let's just say I thought Microsoft was going higher. I would go out till June, right? So here we go, June 16th, 50 days, and I'm in the calls, and I'm going to go out to the $350 calls, which I don't think it's going to, but they're only $23 to $28. So if I want to get bullish Microsoft and I don't have a big account and I want to buy a option contract that's $30, boom, there you go, the 350 June calls. Now I would have to be in love with Microsoft and say to myself, it's going to 320, it's going to 325 in the next couple of weeks, it's going up another 7%. If it goes up 7% to 320, 325, these $28 calls to $23 calls will probably be worth north of like $70. So you're talking about 200%. So again, you can't afford Microsoft options. You can. You just have to go out till June and pick a ridiculous out of the money. The same is true. You can't afford Meta, but you think Meta is going to spike even harder the next couple of weeks. Now that it's at 233, you could see Meta going to 260. Well, then I'd say look at the $300 calls for June. Look at the 275s for June. I wouldn't buy them today because the IVs are going to be extremely high. With that said, going to head over to Discord. Romeo is doing live trading today, so everybody knows him as the Great One. Hopefully, he does some entertaining, profitable live trading. He's been crushing it lately, so I'm probably going to be joining him as well. I think it's like 10:30. You got to check Discord. Again, people, if you're trading with us, without us, Ani, found me, wherever you found me, you need a service. If it's not our Discord, you need these tools to understand how to track the market. If you're like, I only play with $100, I don't need to track the market, then that's like being like, I'm in a basketball game, but I'm hardly playing. You know, I'm picking fucking daisies or something like that. When you're playing in the game, you're focused in the game. When you're playing a sport, you're focused. When you're taking a test, you want to do the best you can. When you're cooking dinner, you're not like, let me cook a half-ass dinner. I mean, I'm cooking, but they don't look that hungry, so I'll make it okay. No, the point is you want to put your heart and soul into it. So the same is true with trading. If you're trading $100, use these tools. Find these tools, understand how to use them, because it might not be this year. It might be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, but you're going to crush it and your light bulb moment's going to go off. You're going to be like, listen, I found a new way to make money in this tough environment. That's about it. Have a great day, everybody.